Hey, classmates. Sorry for my slightly grody appearance right now. I'm a little bit under the weather, but I will go ahead and read you. Hey, here's my dog. My second draft for our workshop. My story is called The Cubicle. I woke up at precisely 5:26 a.m., just as I had the day before and the day before that. I depressed the off button on the alarm 4 times and rolled out on the right side of the bed before straightening my white sheets and comforter. 5:26, 3 hours and 34 minutes before my shift began at the insurance company. I had timed my morning routine years before. I used to set aside 3 hours exactly, but that didn't give me enough time to finish my 8-ounce serving of shredded wheat and brush my teeth. I spent exactly 17 minutes eating, 12 minutes brushing, and 5 minutes doing my final checks before I walked out the front door. 3 hours and 34 minutes. When you do the math, that adds up to over a day each week. 4 days a month. 48 days a year. All of that time set aside to tap, count, adjust, prod, perfect. I took the subway to work every morning, since driving into the city could send me into a fit on most days. I never particularly minded if things were dirty, per se. I just minded if they were out of order. With the assholes changing lanes, the idiots running red lights, and the jerks speeding, it got to the point where I wouldn't be able to stop my counting, even for hours after I got to the office. So today, as every other day, I trudged through the grime and the filth of the subway, set a newspaper down on the third bench to the right, sat with my legs crossed right over left, and read the finance section of the newspaper for exactly the 22 minutes it took to reach Beekman Street. As I took the 15 steps up to the entrance of the building, I silently listed all the claims I had to review that day. Karen Johnson, car accident. Paul Brinkowski, workers' comp. Jordan Strong, medical malpractice case. Nothing particularly out of the ordinary for me. I noted to myself that I would begin with Brinkowski, then Johnson, and finally Strong to keep the files in alphabetical order. "Morning, Jetty," I greeted the receptionist as usual before taking another 10 steps to the claims office. "Morning, Mr. Sampson," she replied behind me. Passing through the double doors and moving along to the first row of cubicles, I continued with my morning greetings, alternating from the left side to the right as I walked toward the back, left hand raised, right still holding my suitcase by the... left hand raised, right hand still holding the suitcase by my side, head tilted slightly. Pat, Sharon, Steve, Carol, Marie? Her desk was empty, so she must have stayed home sick. Joan, John, Artie, and Bea. I graded them all before I sat down at my desk in the 10th cubicle of the third row. Most of them waved quietly back, except for Artie, who was always playing his morning game of solitaire by the time I arrived. Other than that, I didn't have much interaction with my coworkers. Occasionally, they would stop in to ask a question. "Hey, Dave, what's the new server password? I can't seem to log on." Tap, 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 tap. Insuranet76, capital I, capital N, no spaces. But other than that, we all kept to ourselves, which was fine by me. The janitor had left my blinds open again, no matter how many times I had left a note for him to shut them once he had finished cleaning. Sitting my briefcase down underneath my desk, I twisted the curtain rod to the right exactly 6 times, shutting out the light and the chaos that went on in the city below me. The hum of the fluorescent light overhead soothed me as I began my day of reviewing, stacking, and filing. I reached over to my inbox, opened Paul Brinkowski's folder, and began to sort through his pictures from the hospital. "Mail, Mr. Sampson," announced Greg the intern as he chucked a stack of letters onto my desk before pushing his cart further down the aisle. I didn't thank him. One of the envelopes had caught the corner of my stack of Brinkowski's photos and knocked them out of order. "Shit," I muttered. In a matter of seconds, through the course of a simple action, my desk had become something foreign to me. It was no longer the place where I had sat, counted, adjusted, and typed for the last 7 years. Instead, it was something alien, something out of order, something bad. There was no way I could ever get anything done in such an environment. My hands shaking, I took a deep breath and decided how best to remedy this workplace disease. I picked up the envelope that had caused such destruction and turned it over in my hands. It was addressed to me from the lead claims adjuster, Chris Schroeder. I had always known that guy was an asshole. Setting the letter on the far left-hand side of my desk so that it could no longer cause any ruin, I began fixing the stack of pictures. Mr. Brankowski's swollen, bruised face stared back at me as I picked up the first picture. Beginning at the top left, I slowly massaged the corner between my index and forefinger. Index finger and forefinger are the same thing. I'm going to edit that right now. Between my index finger and my thumb. Sorry. Hang on just a second. Okay. Beginning at the top left, I slowly massaged the corner between my index finger and my thumb, making 10 tiny circles before moving on to the top right. With each corner I rubbed, I erased the chaos. I mended the corners that were on the verge of bending. I made them good again. Thus I proceeded with each letter, each claims form out on my desk. Brankowski's bloodied scalp. Rub, 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 rub. The construction foreman's interview, in which he alleged that he had tested all the ladders that very morning. Rub, 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 rub. Zenith's response letter, declaring that their best team was examining the work site and would send pictures within 5 to 7 days. Rub, 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 rub. It took me about 2 hours to make my cuticle a place in which I felt safe again. After I had finished working out the papers, I turned my attention once more to Schroeder's letter. It was difficult to bring myself to actually open it. I turned my silver Franklin Covey letter opener over in my hand and tapped it 4 times against the sealed flap before I began to dissect it. I hated every minute of it. The letter in my hands was a hateful thing, and I had to perform its autopsy to understand why it had destroyed my sanctuary. Mr. Sampson, it began. The asshole had misspelled my name again. In September 2011, you oversaw the automobile accident claim of Frances Kessler, case number A763012. You will recall that you documented Miss Kessler's injuries, the state of her car, the other driver's statement, and the police report, and furthermore that you adjusted and confirmed the claim amount on April 17, 2012. Yes, I did recall. Frances Kessler had been T-boned by a drunk driver. She lost the hearing in her left ear due to the airbag impact and had severe trauma to her left eye from shattering window glass. She received $300,000 for medical costs, emotional distress, and vehicle replacement. The other guy hadn't been quite so lucky. Her lawyers had agreed to $300,000 on April 15th. I sent the notice up to Chris, and he confirmed by the 17th. I hand-delivered the check claim to Miss Kessler herself. I continued on. This was the only major settlement made by Insurico between April 10th and April 20th of that year. I've received recent notification that there was some discrepancy in the withdrawal made for the claims check. As such, the auditing team will be arriving tomorrow to review this case. By the end of the day, you must submit a full copy of the report in a yellow binder. Please leave it in my mailbox on the 5th floor. Sincerely, Chris Schroeder, Master Financial Association's lead claims adjuster. Damn it, Schroeder, I muttered under my breath. This was the second time this quarter he had misplaced one of my files. I tapped the filing drawer marked DK 4 times with my right index finger before I released the latch and opened it. Cameron, Kesey, Kervin, Kestrel,